Why read cards intuitively? When would you do that? When is it best to do that? Who would do it? I'm going to cover all that right now and go over specific details about what you can say out loud, how you can ask the cards, and how you can read them intuitively. And I'll give you some examples. I am Tanyasuelamse. I'm a life empowerment coach. I like to share all the tools and tips that have helped me get to where I am now, living a happy life. All right, so now let's get into it. I'm going to explain what reading cards intuitively means, and I'll give an example. I'm going to look at cards from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell and grabbing a random card. All right, so what it means to read it intuitively is to look at the picture and let my eyes point out to me what is like really getting my attention. So you can see so many details in this card, but only maybe three, four, maybe five at the most are going to stand out to you on any given time that you look at the card. You might look at this card a week later and you're going to notice different things. Or maybe Spirit only brings this card up for you when you need to get a message of it's time to mother yourself. This kind of message. It's time to be mothered. Do the things that make you feel mothered because it's called Star Mother. So, the other option, if you don't want to read a card intuitively, is to use the guidebook. Most oracle cards come with a guidebook. Some tarot cards come with a guidebook too. And you would just look it up and you'd say, okay, this is the Star Mother card, which is on page 48. Let me find page 48. Okay, 48. Whoops, I went too far. Okay, 48. It's going to show little blurbs and it's going to say what the card creator intended for this card to mean. And so that's like 4 or 5 paragraphs of information. And it's very helpful. And I loved doing that when I first started out, when I was a beginner reading oracle cards. I loved looking through and finding the exact meaning. And I felt like I trusted that it was great. But now that I've been doing this for a while, that seems a little bit time consuming and tedious. And, it's always her, Rebecca Campbell's guidebooks are great, easy to find things in. But some card deck creators' cards are a little bit harder. So for me, it's faster and easier to look at the card and see what I notice in it. You know, Honestly, a guidebook is great, but it's going to be pretty general because this guidebook was written for every single person who buys the card. But when you look at the card and you read it intuitively, you're going to pick up, like I said, something different than maybe you picked up last time. So it's more specific to the readee. The readee is the person that you're reading for. Whether it's yourself or you're reading for someone else professionally or you're reading for someone else for fun, the readee is going to get a more specific message when you look at the card and you get your own take on what the card means, as opposed to what the book says, which is a very general take on what the card means. And I do have a little guide that is helpful if you are a beginner and you do want to start reading your cards intuitively, but you get kind of stuck on what questions to sort of ask of the card when you're reading it. I've created this nice little digital download. And so I will look at this and I'll see which line jumps out at me. Okay, I'm reading right now. The message I get from Spirit for this card is mother yourself, hug yourself, help yourself to feel loved, warm, cuddled. Like when you're a baby, you have to cuddle a baby. You have to wrap the baby up. It's like my eyes are drawn to her arms folded like this. That's what's really standing out to me. And then also this sort of cosmic light and clouds that are next to her arms. That stood out to me too. It's kind of like you have um You could say you have galactic family that, or your ancestors that are looking down on you from above, so to speak. And they also want to give you those feelings of comfort, cuddliness, warmth. They want to make you feel loved. So that is how I would intuitively read this card, for example. And so that's great. And just seeing that sentence helped trigger for me words to come out of my mouth. Sometimes when we're looking at a card, we can get stuck, and especially if we're in our mind more than like in our feeling and trying to be in a channel flow state. It's easier if you're in a channel flow state, but then certain facts and things kind of go out the window and you're not thinking about those things, and it can be hard to recall facts. So that's why I like this little quick tip prompt. So if I'm feeling a little bit stuck or I'm not flowing very well, I can easily just look at that and it helps the words flow out of my mouth, which I really like. When it would be better not to read cards intuitively, um, well, if you were feeling kind of heavy, if you were feeling foggy, maybe if you're sick, maybe if you're kind of doubting your intuition lately, or you don't feel confident in your intuition, then it's probably not the best time to read cards intuitively. You know, reading cards intuitively, it's like a muscle that you can practice. The more you practice it and you trust yourself, like if you were doing math and you started learning your multiplications, the first time you're going to keep looking at the cheat sheet, but maybe the 10th time you start to be like, oh, I know my twos. I know my twos multiplications, and you start to get confident about it, and you really don't have to look at the twos multiplications anymore because you practice it so many times. So that's how it can be. It can be the same for intuitively reading cards. It's great. I love it. um and like I said, it's not really for beginners in a sense that um you might doubt yourself in the beginning. But I do encourage you to take off the training wheels whenever possible and try to do it on your own without looking at the guidebook and see what you get. You might be pleasantly surprised to see what you get if you are beginning. um, Another time to not read cards intuitively is if you're feeling nervous. If you have an audience or you're doing this for someone that is intimidating to you. If you're trying to do card reading um, live on Instagram, for example, and you're feeling nervous, go ahead and use the book. It's not going to be horrible if you use the book. um, like one card that says align your life, it says what is not aligned or needs to change. And you can even look at the guidebook and say, what's standing out to me in the guidebook, and it's saying perhaps you have outgrown some relationships or circumstances. So it's not bad to read from the guidebook. It is good to read from the guidebook if you're nervous. And also, what really helps to use cards intuitively is to trust yourself. The more you practice, the more you'll trust yourself. All right. I'm going to give one more example. This is from Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle Deck by Amanda Lovelace. And I just pulled this one card randomly. It says, Sundress, do it for you. Such a sweet card. So what I'm getting from it is this person is wearing a sundress in the winter because she just wants to wear a sundress, right? So it's really just illustrating, don't do something because people are going to say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I know why you're doing that. Or people are going to say, yeah, I expected you to do that. Thank God you did that. Do something unexpected. Do something just for you. Do something for fun. Do something because you like it. It lights you up. Don't worry about what other people think. So, yeah, that's another way to intuitively read this card. It's another example for you. So, feel free to email me. My email is below if you have any specific questions, if you wanted a little bit more support or a little bit extra help. Oh yeah, and I do have this as a free guide that you can get on my Stan.store and my digital store, and that link is below. If you would like to get that, it's free. But anyway, I hope that you found this helpful and informative, and please let me know in the comments if you did. And if you made it this far, could you give me a purple heart? Purple's my favorite color. Thank you. Sending you all love. Take care. Bye.